Welcome to Career Conversations, where we dive into the real stories behind the careers shaping the gambling industry. Whether you're just starting out or looking to take your next big step, this is the place to learn, grow, and get inspired. Let's get into it. Today I'm joined by Asko Heiskanen, an industry pro with over 20 years of experience in iGaming. He started out as a country manager at expect.com way back in the early days, and since then he's worked at some big names including Betfair and Yggdrasil. Now he's the founder of Speedy Tomatoes Entertainment, a studio on a mission to make video poker exciting again, by Slotifying it and adding a fresh twist for modern players. Let's dive in. Hello, Asko. Thank you for joining us for a career conversation. Can you just start by telling us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Hi, Chris. I mean, it's been a while since we talked last time, and it's a great pleasure to be being here talking with you today. So, I mean, about myself. I mean, I'm born and raised in Finland, which I am very proud of. Dad of two sons, which I'm very proud of as well. Lived years in Malta, did a short stint in Kiev, Ukraine, before the all mayhem started there, and nowadays I'm back in here in native Finland, in the midst of greenery and crystal clear lakes. And I would say that, really enjoying my life nowadays here, getting a little bit grey-bearded, and hopefully have learned something over the years. So that's me in a nutshell.
I'd like to understand, how did you get started in the gambling industry?
It was something just happened. One morning you just woke up and you realized that, wow, I'm working for the online gambling company. Well, to me, it happened exactly that way. I was working for the advertising industry, for the big advertising agency, and then later on the client side, managing the marketing and advertising, and on the telecom industry. And we had some reorganization shuffle starting, and I just spotted that, wow, there's an online gambling company looking for a country manager for Finland, and that was 2000, that was 2002, and at that time I didn't know anything about online gambling. I mean, of course, being a Finn, at least at my generation, we learned playing cards, we learned playing various forms of poker when we were basically teenagers. So I would say that the gambling as such, I wasn't a stranger to it, but online gambling. So I thought, well, that sounds very interesting, and started to investigate that opportunity, and ended up working for the expect.com as a country manager. And that was very early days of online gambling. And, over the years, I've gone through a couple of companies, and occasionally I've kind of like stepped back and, reconsidered my career choice working for the online gambling industry. But nowadays, I'm an old dog. So it's very, very difficult to learn new tricks. And I think, I still get the buzz from the working for the gambling industry, and I think that's something that I'm going to stick with, if I can, from here till the eternity.
Nice one. So you were working at various companies, like Betfair and then Yggdrasil, and now you're the founder of Speedy Tomatoes Entertainment.
The Speedy Tomatoes Entertainment is a fairly fresh entity. So we kicked off a year and a half ago with a clear mission: online video poker genre. And we have now, is it 5? Yeah, we have 5 games live, and we have I would say, very ambitious target to release a new game every month. And that's how it looks that we can keep up that space. We're a very small team, but still, I would say that first months we put a lot of time and effort and energy to think not necessarily so much what to develop, but how to develop, to ensure that, we are lean, mean killing machine from the development perspective, that we basically don't waste time, energy, and resource for the developing, that we basically are as efficient as possible. And hence we can keep up this pace of one new game per month. And yes, video pokers, I would say, that video pokers has been around since the year when the wheel and fire were invented. And those classic tables, everyone knows those classic tabletop video pokers in Atlantic City or Las Vegas casinos. And over the time, when the online casino was incepted, online video pokers made way to the online gambling sites, and they are still there. But I would say that particularly during the last 10 years, what we've seen is that I call it a slots game frenzy, has taken over. So there are more and more online casinos promoting, more of online slots. Because obviously players like slots. It's so easy to play. Everyone can play slots. Hence, and slots provide the entertainment value. They can also, for some of the players, they can provide the monetary value. So basically it has everything, and it's simple to play. Online video pokers, or video pokers generally, they life space was eaten by slots, and Speedy Tomatoes is going to reinvigorate video pokers online by doing things differently. Let's put it this way. Not just basically trying to do same old thing that traditional video pokers are offering to players, but basically trying to adapt our games, game mechanics, gaming experience to the taste of the modern fans of online casino players.
I was going to ask you, how come you went for video poker instead of slots? But I guess it's a good thing, right? Because there's so many slots to choose from.
I've always one of my, I would say, lines over the years have been that, if there is a rush hour on a certain street, don't go there. I'm sure that you can find a way around it. Basically to save time. Go a little bit less crowded streets. Go off the beaten track. And this is exactly what we are trying to do here. When we, in the beginning, to be honest, we were, of course, considering that, we're going to make the best slot games in the world. But then we came to realization that, hang on a minute, there's already, 800 plus studios grinding hundreds of new slots into the marketplace every single month. How come, or what would be the mojo for us to kind of stand up from that mass of studios? And we thought that, well, maybe there's something else than slots that we could focus. And we did a fairly intensive research / study around other, I would say, online casino game verticals, and we ended up with the video poker, or we identified video poker as being one, I would say niche that has room to improve in terms of developing how the game is played and ensuring that it actually provides value for money for the players, or value for time. And we ended up, and that's how we actually isolated video poker being our main avenue. It could be Keno games, it could be single player video bingos. There are other alternatives as well, but at the moment, Speedy Tomatoes Entertainment stands for the video pokers.
Amazing. Okay, so that's interesting. So eventually we might see some slots coming from you in the future.
Well, we never say never. It's not drawn on our roadmap. But there is, I would say, there's a thick pile of notes, and the top says top secret, super good slot ideas. But you never know. We try this video poker avenue.
And nice. Okay. So let's move on to understanding video poker. Okay, for maybe anyone who's watching that doesn't really know what the game is, could you maybe give a brief introduction, like what is video poker, or maybe compare it to a slot or anything else?
So from the video poker, first of all, let's acknowledge one thing. Poker as a game, in a one form or another, it's a global game. No matter what corner of world you go, there are some forms of poker played in one or two or three formats. So it's a global game. And video poker is, and usually, of course, poker is a multiplayer game. You don't necessarily play that alone. But video poker is just a format of poker where you play against the house. And traditionally, video poker has been so-called 5-card draw. So as a player, you press bet button, and basically you've dealt 5 cards. Out of the 5 cards, you choose 0 to 5 cards for your hand, and then the rest of the cards are replaced with new cards. And if you make a hand, you get paid by the pay table, and if you don't, you just bet again. So it's in that sense, it's a very straightforward game. However, we have to, particularly now, we put this in a context of slot. So anyone can win, or can have, I would say, anyone can have kind of an, I would say, rewarding player experience in slot games. You just press on buttons. Reels keep on rolling and stopping. Sometimes you win, sometimes you don't. Sometimes you even could win a huge amount of money. I mean, but it's basically, it's not really anything to do with your skills. Poker game and online video poker, I mean, that's a skill game. And in this traditional form, 5-card draw type of video poker, there is a very specific strategy that you need to follow as a player to ensure that you don't leak value out. So I mean, it's you always have those 5 cards that you need to choose from, and you really to know what is the best option, what is actually the optimal option to choose. If you don't know that, you will be lose 6-0. And that is definitely one stronghold of the video poker. So a certain type of players, but for the mass of players, it's way too complex game to play. You really need to be into it to know what cards to pick and what cards to muck. And if you don't know that, I mean, it's not rewarding. It's not a rewarding way to play. And I would say that from our product perspective, so what we are doing here is that we've actually simplified the game to the extent that, there's still the skill element, of course. I mean, players' choices or players' picks are genuine, so it influences on the outcome. But, there's a less myriad of choices for you as a player to make. So if you have some hunch of how to play poker, I mean, you can play our power poker games successfully. Slotifying it, and we call it slotifying it from that perspective. So it's almost like playing slots from the simplicity perspective. It's easy to learn. It's a fairly, I would say, fast-paced game. And then, of course, we're spicing up that with the additional features like in slots. So developing poker more inclusive game to the larger group of players, but still keeping it as a poker game, so that real fans of video pokers can enjoy still playing it.
Okay, so what's the margin?
When you talk with the operators, I mean, that was something that we learned in our discovery stage when we spoke with quite a few, I would say, household name operators and their casino managers. One of the takeaways from those calls and meetings was that RTP has to be lower in order to make it any sense for operators to offer these games. Because I mean, if your theoretical RTP is 99, let's say, I mean, most of the players don't play that with the optimal strategy, but it's still, it's fairly low margin. So we aim to produce games that our theoretical RTP with the optimal strategy is between 94 to 95. It could be a little bit over 95 in some cases, or it could be a little bit lower than 94 in some cases. I mean, if you end up playing our power poker games, you go to game rules and check it out. It's open information there, so we don't want to hide what's the theoretical RTP of our game. It's good for everyone. If players learn how to play power poker games with the optimal strategy, they definitely will enjoy it more. And we enjoy the players who are retained for long sessions and returning to play our games.
Exactly. So, okay, let's move on to market challenges, because now that we've been speaking about the margin, the RTP, I kind of wanted to get into what have you experienced with regards to when you're approaching operators or aggregators, to add your game.
Exactly. Well, this is a very intriguing question, because I mean, because when we started to when we had a first game demo available, and we had calls with some online casinos. I mean, basically everyone was saying that, oh my god, this sounds amazing, this looks amazing, this is something different. And we kind of like thought at that stage that it's this is walk in the park, or that these games will sink like a hot knife into a butter. But I mean, obviously, then we also had calls with some other casino managers or the aggregators who state that, well, video pokers are so yesterday's news that no one plays video pokers. And then we tried to explain that our video poker is not actually kind of a video poker that, it's different, but it's still the video poker as a word or game genre. It still has some sort of a bad name on it amongst the casino management due to high RTP, due to a fairly low number of players compared to players who play slots. So this definitely is a hurdle that we've tried to overcome. Partially, we've managed to overcome it. So video poker, when I have a meeting with from the casino management side and saying that, now let's talk about the video pokers, I mean, you can see what goes through their minds. Oh shit, video pokers, I mean, no one really plays them anymore, we don't have too many video pokers live. And then it takes some time to basically explain them to that, yes, we are talking about video pokers, but not the kind of video pokers that we have different video pokers. And usually the best thing to do is, of course, to demonstrate the game. And then they came to a realization that, well, it is video poker, but it is easy to play, it's simplified, it's different. So I would say the concept or the terminology of video poker, it hasn't helped us. We were considering to come up with something different naming for it, but I mean, it's still video poker. It's simplified video poker. So, I mean, we have to call it video poker. However, we have a registered trademark. I mean, in Europe, UK, Canada, Norway, Switzerland, US, going the last couple of Latin markets in the process, called power poker. So we call all of these games are called power poker. Jacks or better 4,000 power poker, tens or better side bet power poker. I mean, that's the game we just recently released. It's the first ever video poker game with side bet, which is very popular for example, in various kind of blackjack games nowadays in online, that you play the base game, but you still can do the side bets there. So we've always trying to introduce something new, additional features to each new power poker game. I mean, there will be games coming up with the free spins. There will be games coming up with the bonus buy, things that we know are popular among the slots players. From the challenges or the hurdles that we need to overcome, currently online casinos, if you go to a no-name, white label online casino site, basically the way how most of them are categorizing their games is that you have their slots and you have live casino. They don't necessarily anymore have even table games or video poker tab. So it's a kind of like, trying to find trying to figure out what is the best location or spot on the site for this type of a game, that it's as easy as slot to play, but it's a card game. So it's kind of like a hybrid from that perspective. So that is definitely something that we need to work with casinos. But we hope that over the time, casinos will, and definitely with the table games and video poker games, I would say more complex games, will make a comeback over the time. So I believe that video pokers will be added as a tab on the casino side. Or, from my perspective, the best thing is if they add their power poker, not even a video poker. So that could be an ideal solution for us, but we are still a long way from that. But there are always challenges. There are always intriguing challenges to overcome, and that's part of the joy in this work.
Exactly. So let's imagine that you are a head of casino or casino manager, okay? And you've just made a deal with Asko and, you need to launch Power Poker. How would you go about it?
I mean, if I would be a casino manager, I would ask from Asko. In that case, I mean, what would you recommend? I mean, what have you learned from your previous launches? What we've learned is that, I mean, because like I said, I mean, it's a card game that is almost as easy to play as slots. So I mean, what we found out that the best, definitely as a launch strategy, or how you roll out the game on your website, definitely the best thing to do is to release it like any new slot. You put it on the main category with the tags of new, basically to provide the game tender loving care to reach the audience. And when this grace period of being a new game is coming to an end, I mean, if you have a table games category, or if you have a video poker category, put it over there. If you basically have a table games but you don't have video poker category, put it on a table games. And then you can, if you're running a standard online casino, you have a huge database of lapsed players. I mean, go have a data run. I mean, have a look at the, I would say, valuable or fairly valuable players from the past who've been dead X months, and they mainly played, for example, table games, casino games, various kind of card games, and run them a win-back campaign. For example, I mean, provide free spins to, because I mean, our games support free spins, so offer free spins to power poker games and try to win them back. Or alternatively, I mean, we've always said that this game is definitely the best match for the operator who also has a sports book, because the players who are sportsbook casino customers who punt on sports, and they basically have occasionally a cheeky spin of slots or play a couple of hands of cards. That is kind of the optimal target audience for our games. They kind of like, they still recreational gamblers, but they still, what they want to have is that they basically have some sort of an say, control in a game, that they basically can be part of the game. They are more than a passenger. They are behind the steering wheel. So that is definitely the optimal audience, and we call them we basically done the customer segmentation, and we call them natural born gamblers. So basically, they are multi-product customers. They require that there's some level of control, or perceived control at least, in the game, and they want to learn. And for us, I mean, we are happy that players are learning even the optimal strategy. Like I said, I mean, we don't keep that under the lid. We are more than willing to teach that to our players, or we are hoping that operators will help their players to play our games with the optimal strategy. So I would say that those are the things that I would do as a casino manager. Or I hope that me as a casino manager, I hope that Asko will tell me something that could create value for my business through power poker games.
Yeah, nice one. I like it.
So, I mean, I hope that there are some casino managers listening this, and there's a bulb lighting up.
Yeah.
Lighting about their head. Hey, that's what I could do.
Do you remember NetEnt games, right? Whenever you have a new release, they always had that document with the liners about their slot, using the lingo based on the game theme. I love using that in our emails. I'd grab like a few, or in the banners. It was just catchy.
Yeah, well, I mean, of course, for us, it's one thing that going forward we know that we are actually currently a little bit lacking behind. I mean, supporting operators with ready-made, I would say, inspiring operators with some material or ideas what to do, how to do things. So I think the NetEnt was, and is still probably one of the best in the industry, how to help operators to do the business, how to help operators to reach the players and monetize their player base. So they were trailblazers on that, definitely.
Yeah. Let's talk about influencers and streamers. Do you have any plans to work with any influencers, streamers?
I mean, we do, and we haven't, like I said, I mean, we're still a very small team. So we don't have, I would say, our house is not 100% in order to, I would say, utilize all potential that is out there. But I mean, definitely, I mean, we understand the value of streamers for this industry, and particularly I would still say that, if you compare the number of players who are watching the streams versus the total number of online casino players, it's still a small percentage. But for us, So what we see on how we interpret the influencer area is that there is a lot of people who actually make the decisions in our industry who are watching the streamers, for example. So I see that it's a very, very important aspect of the marketing mix going forward. And I have to say that actually our games have been streamed already. So once we get the first game certified for the Malta Gaming Authority, there was one MGA licensed site whose streamers streamed our game Jack's or Better 4000 during the couple of first days. So that was actually, I would say that it was personally, I would say, almost emotional to see that this streamer X is actually streaming our game. So we definitely will put more time and effort on that avenue going forward. And it's I would say nowadays it's a very important channel. To be able to utilize that channel, I mean, you have to offer something that is not really seen in every game. I mean, because streamers they don't stream every single game that comes to the market. There has to be something that catches streamers' attention. It either comes from their side or that their players are asking and requesting about that. So we have certain plans to create features or bring features to our games that certainly will catch an eye of influencer marketeers going forward.
Nice. Okay. Let's move on to the next topic, which is tools of the trade. What are the 3 tools, software, that you can't live without?
That's a tricky question. I would say that in my job, to be able to fulfill my responsibilities, I mean, the most important thing is the communications. I think that tools like Slack is definitely, I couldn't live without that anymore. So we use that for the communication within the team and with our partners. Then at the same time, I don't single out one meeting software, but Teams, Zoom, kind of an meeting software. Those are definitely something that I cannot live without, or we cannot live without. And I would say then there's a tricky question. I have 2 things in my mind for the third one. I either would say Google tools, or alternatively it has to be Chat GPT. Difficult to say which one, but I mean, so I would say we're using AI in various small tasks, quite a lot starting from the game design decisions or questions, or there are some final bits and pieces, final outcome that can be seen in our games, or the marketing material that are produced by AI, because it's so bloody fast. Yeah.
Okay, so let's move on to team building and recruitment. Let's say that you're looking to hire an account manager or business development manager, right, for Speedy Tomatoes Entertainment. Is industry experience important for you?
Whoa, I mean, I used to have, I would say, some sort of a philosophy that I don't hire anyone without industry experience. But at the same time, I mean, over the years, one thing that I've learned is that you can always teach the skills, but you cannot teach the attitude. So I think that is nowadays more important thing, that a person who is hired to become sales, selling us our product, our vision, becoming our ambassador. He has to have the attitude, the skills, the industry knowledge. Most of that can be taught, definitely. It takes time. It's not something that there's not kind of like an online gambling for dummies book existing that you just absorb, that everything about this industry. It takes time to learn, but if you find a person that has right type of an attitude, mindset for that work, but is lacking of the industry experience, I mean, then it's more or less for the leader or manager to make a decision that, am I willing to invest time, educate, help this person to grow on this iGaming career, to understand particularly how this trade works. So yes, I mean, if there's a good candidate, yes, I am willing to definitely hire without industry experience.
Amazing. Okay, so let's say you've got a pile of CVs on your desk and you need to kind of filter through them. Probably HR would do that, but what would you look for on a CV?
Before I go to that, I mean, I would say that, you know, one thing about the Speedy Tomatoes is that, like I said, we are a small team, and we've always we set some sort of an, you know, criteria in the beginning that if we need to have an HR department or HR person working for our company, then something has gone wrong. So we try to keep ourselves as lean as possible, that we don't need that HR person to, you know, screen the CVs. But I mean, let's say that there's a pile of CVs coming for the job. Well, first thing is that me as a recruiting manager, I would definitely value a lot the fact that that CV or the application is tailor-made for the particular position. So it's not sent to 2 dozen of recruiters at once. It's really a person has really put time and effort to ensure that it comes across in the application and CV that I really want to get that position, and I know this and that about you guys, and I would like to consider certain things. I would like to do certain things for you guys to help you to grow your business. So it's a passion. It's kind of like, you know, willingness and hunger to put yourself on the line to help us to grow and make successful business. It's all about the attitude thing, like I said earlier. Definitely, no, you don't need the industry experience, in fact, but at the same time, it doesn't necessarily come through on the CV. I mean, it helps a lot if you have some level of itch for the games. I mean, not necessarily even gambling games, but I mean in games generally. That you play free mobile games, or you love board games, or you were intrigued about the game theory or things like that. So that definitely will spark my attention, at least. I love how you started by saying that if you need to recruit HR, there's something gone wrong. So how many people are actually working for Speed? We are at the moment, we are less than half a dozen. We're very small, and you know, this is and not all of them are working full time. We rely, let's say that we keep all critical in our own hands. Game mathematics, game design, coding. For example, I mean, most of the art, animations, audio, we outsource. So there's so many talented artists around that could provide us what we need. They are so good, so I would say great audio designers around there, and we can get that out from those guys. We use a lot of outsourcing, and that kind of like helps us to keep the agility, to manage the cost side, and you know, because we're still on a very early days, so we don't want to load this company with a huge burden in terms of costs. So we want to have a fairly light ship at the moment. Yeah, makes sense. Okay, so let's move on to the future outlook for Speedy Tomatoes Entertainment. How did you even come up with the name? This is not very original. Well, it is original, but I mean, it's not first time that I work for the company called Speedy Tomatoes. That was during the first .com boom, when I was still in the telecom industry. I was working as a marketing manager for the subsidiary of a Swedish telecom company, Telia. And they set up a so-called mobile internet company. And that company was named Speedy Tomatoes. So me and my boss, our marketing director at that time, we were thinking that, you know, Speedy Tomatoes is such a great name that you could sell anything underneath that name if you do it right. And now when the time came, I started to think about what could name a trading name for our company that is kind of like, you know, creates the reaction that it causes is what was the name, and then it kind of like doesn't include words like golden, gaming, betting, things like that. That it's something totally different. Nowadays, it seems to be a good icebreaker on the first meeting with the operators or aggregators. Usually, it starts from our name. Okay, that's a cool name. That's a very nice name. We got a lot of positive feedback on that. I just heard a story that someone said those are those guys from Finland who built video pokers, those tomato guys. So I mean that's at least it kind of like leaves a memory mark.
What do you have planned for the next 1 to 2 years?
So I mean, obviously we want to first of all stabilize. I mean, we have this one new game per month roadmap for the unregulated markets and for the MGA markets and some additional markets. So we will definitely focus developing more power poker games with more funky features, passing up the gameplay gaming experience. So that's definitely one thing that we will do. We will focus during the next year or so. On the side of that, there are some, I would say, non-poker game that we've been considering as worth of developing. Those are not slots, something different, something that exists. I would say the analogy is very similar to video pokers, that they are there, but no provider, no studio has put time and effort, given the loving care for that product group to basically to lift it to the next level. So that is definitely something from the roadmap perspective. We want to see more markets opening up. We know that the heartland of poker is North America, so it's been in our plans from the very beginning. So we continuously do things to ensure that we get power poker games in North American regulated markets sooner than better. Hence, we, for example, trademarked Power Poker already in Canada, and it's in the process for the US as well. So I would say that we try to keep it very simple. I mean, we are simple guys from North. We like simple things. We want to have our entertainment is simple things, playing card, fishing, things like that. So we want to keep it very straightforward.
Nice.
No major acquisitions planned unless someone comes to a decent amount of money and wants to buy us, then I'm always up for the discussion, but that's still, that lies further down the road.
Okay, perfect. So we've reached our final question. What's one key insight you've learned over the last 15 plus years that you'd wish you'd known at the start of your journey?
I would say that one thing that I've learned over the years is that, be more, I would say, structurized from the perspective when you plan what to do, how to do, why to do, particularly why to do certain things. I would say that, if I could advise younger me 20 years back, that what is the one key thing for you to remember going forward. Keep on asking why. Because it opens a lot of things. You may find yourself in a position that you actually don't develop something that you were planning to develop because it doesn't make sense. I mean, there's always been those cases where me or my team, we've built something that is completely redundant because we haven't asked a question why. So I think that is a key learning. And be curious. Be curious. I mean, this business looks, on the surface, it looks very, very simple, very straightforward. But I mean, be curious, try to go under the surface to understand, to learn more things. I mean, and particularly, I would link this to the previous question that, I mean, talk to players and let's say listen your players whenever it's possible, because that's where you get the wisdom. But at the same time, don't listen them, but still make, I would say, evaluation of whether you need to take their comments or feedback with a pinch of salt, or is it really something that is hardcore stuff what they're saying. It's always, fine line between that players sometimes tend to say things that they think that they should say. They don't necessarily say exactly what they think or how they feel.
Okay. Thank you so much for your time, Asko.
My pleasure, Crystal. So it was good to
Have a
talk with you.
nice day.
You too. Ciao.
Thanks for tuning in to Career Conversations. If you found this useful, hit subscribe so you never miss an episode. And head over to gamblingindustryjobs.com to discover new opportunities, post a free job, or explore more career resources. You'll find some helpful links in the description below. See you next time.